Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer and welcome to another Pokemon challenge. Last time we asked the question of whether or not I could beat Pokemon Black with a single Axew, and that challenge was immensely fun in a game I've not done for ages. Today though, we're heading to Johto and asking whether or not I can beat Pokemon Silver with just a single Meowth. This is Vanilla Meowth, since regional forms weren't a thing yet. We're pure normal type, immune to ghost and weak to fighting, plus a 290 base stat total, with 90 of that being our speed. Yes, great news, we are fast, but everything else is pretty bad. Our defence is worst at 35, our attack next best at 45. I've done a run with a Pokemon with a 290 BST before when I did Emerald with Spheal many moons ago. Move wise, we don't get bad ones. Stab Slash could be useful, at least until I get return. I can see Feint Attack being handy for the Ghost Gym and probably the rest of the game. Unlikely, but I might get some use out of Screech. We do get some TM coverage with Iron Tail, Mud Slap, Shadow Ball, Thunder and Icy Wind, all of which could be useful, along with various normal moves like Return, Headbutt and Swift. We do get Nightmare and Dream Eater, but we have no way of inducing sleep in an opponent. Predictions then. I can see a lot of the gyms being a struggle. We're pretty weak, and some of the gyms will likely be traumatic. Bugsy's Cypher might be awful, ditto Whitney and her Miltank. The Fighting and Steel gyms will probably be rough too, and there's Claire as well who I can't see being easy. Oh, and then there's Bruno later when we get to the Elite Four. I think we will be able to make it to Red, but beating him might be asking a lot. Just the rules then. In combat I can only use Meowth. Other Pokemon will be needed for HMs but unable to fight. Only held items and Pokeballs in battle, but I can heal outside of battle. And last of all, no glitches or exploits. If you do like what you see, like, subscribe and hit the bell like it's personally insulted you. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace one of the starter Pokemon with Meowth so I can do the whole run with it. I choose to replace Totodile so that our rival will have Chikorita. I feel like Meganium might be the hardest for us to fight. There's probably not a lot in it, to be fair. Meganium is pretty tanky in my experience, and it has paralysis ability with Body Slam and the ability to screw us up with Razor Leaf, so I'm pretty convinced there. I nickname our Meowth Cheshire, and with that, we're ready to get underway. I don't know how hard or otherwise this challenge will be, but I guess we'll see. I know the one next week is going to be awful already, but no spoilers just yet. We grind up our Meowth for a bit, letting it do what cats do best and terrorise the local bird and rodent population before we go fight our rival outside Cherry Grove City after doing the Mr. Pokemon mission. The rival fight is pretty straightforward. We've got a few levels on him, and so we can two-hit his Chikorita with Scratch, thanks to the second one being a pretty fortunate crit. I think me and this Meowth are going to do just fine, you know. Next major fight is the Violet City Gym, and this is really not a problem in theory. It's harder in the remakes, but yeah, cats have a natural advantage over birds, so we shouldn't have too much of an issue. I'll likely want that Mud Slap TM for the Steel Gym too. His Pidgey goes down to 2 scratches, missing a tackle, that wasn't so bad, but the Pidgeotto is a little tougher. We are faster than it, hitting 2 scratches, sandwiched by a bite to take it down, though it does hit 2 gust attacks. A Pidgeotto using gust. Anyone else getting late 90s Pokemon anime flashbacks, or is it just me? We've got to travel to Azalea Town and kick Team Rocket out of there before we can fight for the next badge. So I figure I might as well just say that if you do have any ideas for challenges, there's the comment section down below. There's also links to my Twitter and my Discord in the description to the video where you can drop them there as well. Also, there's links to all my other YouTube playlists too. My journey goes grand until that hiker at the end of Union Cave uses his Machop to low-kick Cheshire into submission. That wasn't good. I'm still deciding at the time of writing, not recording I'll add, what Pokemon game to play on the Switch next for the channel, given I've probably done as much of Legends Arceus as I'm willing to do. I'm thinking of either finishing New Pokemon Snap or starting to play Mystery Dungeon DX. At the time of recording, I'll probably know. Bugsy then. We're level 21 and I hope that is enough. Scratch and Payday have the same damage, but I replace Scratch, because Payday gives us extra money, which could be useful. Let's see how we do versus the Bug Trainer. We can two-hit Metapod with Payday, but get hit with a String Shot, which isn't ideal. Kakuna is a free hit, thanks to it using Harden, and it also lands a Poison Sting, which thankfully doesn't poison us. Last is Cypher, who is faster thanks to the string shot and likes to spam Fury Cutter, which does more damage the more hits it lands in succession. I just keep flinging payday attacks at it until finally we get to take it down after 4 hits, the final of which is a crit that probably wasn't needed, but it made sure of the defeat for sure. Next is the rival fight at the exit to the city, and I'm not worried here, actually, given we're not that badly set up for him. This fight is pretty close though, probably more than I'd like. Ghastly is a one hit with Bite. I try the same move on Zubat, hoping for a flinch, but get confused with Supersonic. Thankfully, we battle through and knock it out with Payday. I hit a couple of Paydays on Bayleaf to deal okay damage, but that Razor Leaf is brutal, particularly the first one, which crits us for nearly half our health in a single blow. The second one brings us to the point where a third will probably end us. I go for Bite, hoping for the flinch, which never comes, but thankfully Razor Leaf misses, meaning we can take it out with a Payday. 6 level advantage, and it was a close fight. Yikes. After a bit of walking, we've got the fight with Whitney and her dreaded Miltank, the Satanic Cow. It's always a fun fight, this one. Fun being the operative word, really, it's more like having teeth pulled out. Clefairy is never usually a problem. It goes for Metronome and gets missed out of it, while we 2-hit it with Payday. Then out comes the bad Bovine, and I get 3 Mud Slaps and 3 Growls on it. Then I start it in Paydays, and I am feeling pretty confident. And then it lands a tract, and things go sideways very quickly. We lose so many turns to that. I'm not helped by the fact that it uses Milk Drink to heal itself, all while it keeps whittling us down with stomps, eventually taking us down. That wasn't good at all. I try again a few levels higher. There's a reason you don't see many cows with cat-related injuries, unless it's like a leopard or something. But we go at it this time, 2-hitting Clefairy again, and this time it gets agility from Metronome. Even with boosted speed, we are still faster, so we go into Miltank with full health. This time I go for 6 Mud Slaps to trash her accuracy, and then start spamming Payday. She never goes for a tract, and although a Milk Drink does heal her, we do soon wreck her health again. 2 rollouts do get landed at the start of the fight, plus a stomp for big damage, but we do take her down, so that is a good thing. Next is Ecruteak City, and I figure I'll do the optional rival fight while I'm here in the Burned Tower. Rod is his usual charming self as we go at each other. Haunter survives Feint Attack, which I'd say bodes well for the Ghost Gym, and hits Spite, but we do finish it off with a Mud Slap. Magnemite is a single hit with Mud Slap, yay. And on the subject of Magnemite, I'll tell you later. Zubat is a 2-hit with Payday, but thankfully it fails with Supersonic, while Bayleaf poisons us and lands a Razor Leaf, but we're hardy enough to take it and knock it down and out for the count with a trio of Paydays. Ghost Gym and Morty next then, and we will see how this goes. I go in at level 38 and it starts off grand as Ghastly gets 1 hit with Feint Attack. It's special rather than physical, but there's not much difference in those stats on Meowth. Haunter also goes down to Feint Attack. So far so good, but I doubt Gengar will be a 1-hit, and I'm proved right. We deal damage, but it lands Hypnosis and we never wake up from it. We get taken out with 3 Dream Eaters and Julie lose the fight. I figure I'll go train at the Lighthouse a bit to get some levels. Well, definitely need them ahead of the fighting gym. To level 41 I go, and then I make another try on Morty. This time, versus Gengar, with the first 2 rounds of the fight having gone exactly the same as before, I go for a Mud Slap for just under half its health in damage, and it promptly misses Hypnosis, which is what I was hoping for. A Feint Attack duly finishes it off before the second Haunter goes down in the same fashion to the same move. I might go and do the Ice Gym now, rather than the Steel or the Fighting Gym, because those 2 are going to be awful, I can already tell. Price isn't particularly hard, so the experience from the Rocket Hideout and him is useful. We know how cats do against birds, but what about seals? Well, we 1-hit crit Seal with Slash. Dugong, out next, is a 2-hit with Slash, hitting an Aurora Beam for minimal damage, but at least we don't get debuffed and lose attack. Piloswine is also a 2-hit with Slash, landing a Blizzard that thankfully doesn't freeze us. So, that was simple. Let's go hit the Fighting Gym, I guess. Mind you, it is Sunday, so I can go and get the return TM. Icy Wind from Price will also be useful in the future. In Cianwood City, we've hit level 50 ahead of the fight with Chuck, so I think we might be able to brute force him. Poliwrath, I doubt, will be able to one-hit, but I guess we will see. This might be marginally more doable than the Steel Gym at this point, so here we go. Primeape is a one-hit with return, easy money. Poliwrath, though, as predicted, survives return with a sliver of health, but it only does go for Mind Reader, and we finish it off with Payday. That was smooth. Let's head back to Olivine. Jasmine can be an awkward fight. I just hope we're strong enough to be able to one-hit her Magnemites with Mud Slap, otherwise this is going to be painful. On the subject of Magnemite, next week I'm taking on Pokemon Emerald with a single Magnemite, and I'm already having cold sweats at the thought of the Psychic Gym in that game. Anyway, both Magnemites are thankfully single hit knockouts with Mud Slap, and that is a relief. They are capable of paralysis with Thunder Wave. Steelix though is a beast defensive wise. There is only one Pokemon in Gens 1 and 2 who has a better defense stat than Steelix. In fact, there are only 2 in all 8 gens that outright beat it, Shuckle and Stakataka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And Regirock has the same as Steelix, I will point out. That's what we're up against. Anyway, it never lands a damaging move. The only thing it hits on us is a Screech throughout the fight as I spam Mud Slaps on it to wreck its accuracy. Getting hit by an Iron Tail isn't going to be good. Even when I run out of Mud Slap PP and have to resort to using Return to damage it, it doesn't do bad damage to be fair. Return probably does twice as much damage to it as Mud Slap does, so it's not exactly a bad thing. By the time it does go down, I have an immense sense of relief. Team Rocket Radio Tower bit next, and the only major fight in this area is the underground rival fight. While we walk there, it seems as good a time as any to mention that I recently had a big boom in subscribers, thanks to a big shout out from Mah-Dry-Bread. Probably a good thing to hope that I pronounced that right, otherwise it'll seem a bit churlish. Anyway, just a big welcome to you if you're new to the channel, and I hope you enjoy your time here. Anyway, rival Rod time. Golbat is a one hit with return. Magnemite is up next, but we become something of a specialist at taking them out thanks to Mud Slap. Haunter goes down to a crit feint attack. Sneasel goes down to return. Meganium takes massive damage from return, surviving on a sliver, and then fails with Poison Powder, meaning we can finish it off with Payday. Boom! There is the final executive in the radio tower, but I'm not going to dwell too much on this fight. It's not exactly a tricky one. It's probably more noted for the uniqueness of seeing a Houndour and a Houndoom at this point, if we're honest. A Johto Pokemon that can't be found in Johto. Great job, Game Freak of 20 years ago. It's a sweep of return, and then I make my way towards the Dragon Gym. I could have put Icy Wind on Cheshire ahead of this fight. It's certainly a tactical option, but I decide to go with return. It's enough to one-hit a level 37 Dragonair, as one of the gym trainers proves, so we might be able to brute force her. Her hardest Pokemon, the Kingdra, only takes neutral damage from Ice anyway. I have Thunder as well, so I've got some choices to make about movesets. I stroll through the Dragon Gym and face Claire, knocking the first Dragonair out with a Soul Return. The second one very quickly goes down to the same move. And the third one does as well. Return on a normal type is pretty useful. It even does massive damage to the Kingdra as it goes to Smokescreen and she heals it. 2 more returns take it down pretty quickly though, with our accuracy unaffected. Phew, I need to catch something that can learn Whirlpool and quick for the Dragon's Den. I make my way to Kanto and start the slow walk to the Pokemon League, where I have the final mandatory rival fight in the game. This is probably my favourite victory road of the lot of them, I'll say it again. The rival fight comes and we knock Sneasel out with a single return, before Golbat comes out next and goes down the same way. Magneton does actually survive Mud Slap, but fails with Thunder Wave before a second Mud Slap takes it down. That was lucky. Haunter goes down to Feint Attack before Kadabra comes out and gets knocked out by return. Up last is Meganium, who just about survives return and throws up Reflect before we down it with Payday. And that's a victory. Let's head up to the Indigo Plateau. At the Pokemon League, here are our stats and our tailored moveset. I replace Payday and Mud Slap with Icy Wind and Thunder. Our speed is good, our attack is okay, everything else is pretty evenly mediocre. I think we might be able to make it through Will and Koga, but Bruno might be our stopping point at this level. Comment your guesses right about now. Psychic type trainer Will is the first opponent, and this could go a lot worse. In theory, he is the easiest, but I've had some brutal fights against him in the past. His first Xatu goes down to return before the notoriously frail Jinx comes out next and gets smashed out by return. Executor goes down to 2 feint attacks but does hit a psychic that doesn't actually deal that much damage. Slowbro, we managed to one hit with Thunder before the final Xatu comes out and we take it down with return. That was pretty easy. Poison Trainer Koga is next. Ever notice the pattern that the Elite Four has here, that they're all kind of weak to the previous one? Poison is weak to Psychic. Fighting is resisted by Poison. Dark is weak to Fighting. Just saying. Ariados is a one hit with return, 1 down. Venomoth is also a one hit with return. Fortress though, up next, is very very annoying. I don't really have a good way to deal with it, so I go for Thunder and 2 feint attacks to knock it out. It hits a Swift that does some damage, but not much more otherwise. Muck is a single hit knockout with return, I'm surprised by that, before Crobat is last. It's just strong enough to survive return and hits a wing attack before I sense a full restore coming and take it down with a return and a feint attack. Bruno is next, and this one could be problematic, given that he has the capability of hitting us for super effective damage. Hitmontop is a one hit with return though. That's a pretty good start because that thing can be annoying when it spams detect. Hitmonlee goes down to return, nice. Hitmonchan does have a priority move in Mach Punch and uses it, hitting us for super effective damage before we take it out with return. Machamp survives return and misses a cross chop that would have ended us before he heals it and we take it down with Thunder and return. Onyx Outlast is a one hit with Icy Wind. That went pretty much better than I thought it had any sort of right to, so let's move on. Karen is last, and I suppose we best get this party started. She can be all kinds of trouble usually. Her Umbreon at the start is annoying and some of her Pokemon are capable of messing you up. I win, but I wonder how much of it was luck. A crit return takes down Umbreon, and I don't think without a crit there we one hit it. Umbreon is strangely tanky. At least we didn't get sand attacked. Vileplume is a one hit with return. Gengar, out next, survives feint attack and then dually ends itself with a curse. Now if this were Gem 3 that would be a problem. We take Murkrow down with return before Houndoom is next. Curse damage doesn't come into effect this gen on the turns you knock an enemy out. Houndoom goes down to return and thus we've beaten the Elite Four. It's just the champion left and I have a feeling we might be laughing here. If we can handle Charizard and Aerodactyl with little problems and we don't miss our Icy Winds on the Dragonites, we'll probably have an easy fight. I quickly discover I spoke too soon there. Gyarados goes down to Thunder. That's pretty par for the course. His Dragonites are actually strong enough to survive Icy Wind on red health and the first one misses Thunder Wave before we take it down with return. The second one does the same, survives Icy Wind and then paralyses us with Thunder Wave before hitting a Hyper Beam, but we do take it out eventually. Aerodactyl hits a Hyper Beam before we take it out with Thunder, but Charizard is too fast and roasts us with Flamethrower. So, I do need to be stronger then. I fight back to Lance at level 72. Hopefully, this tips us over the edge. Hopefully. We miss Thunder versus Gyarados and it immediately contributes a contender for the dumbest decision of all time by putting Rain Dance up and the second Thunder duly ends it. Thunder doesn't miss in the rain. We're still not strong enough to one-hit the Dragonite with Icy Wind. It survives narrowly and paralyses us, which means we've got no chance of winning. On the second Dragonite, I do try a return just to see what sort of damage that does, but it crits and knocks it out in one hit, so the outcome there is inconclusive before we do get finished off by Aerodactyl. Another try comes shortly after and I'm feeling like I'm getting that ever bit closer. The Gyarados bit goes the same as last time and when the first Dragonite comes out we learn that we can one hit it with Icy Wind at this level. The bad news is that the first one misses and we get paralysed, but we do take that and Aerodactyl down before this cat ends up in heat when being flamethrowed by Charizard. Next attempt goes so much better. We're level 80 going in and Thunder misses on Gyarados again. That's like the third time this has happened. Rain Dance does come up and I very quickly end the Sea Serpent. The first Dragonite goes down to Icy Wind. So just a quick aside, There's an icy wind and a rainstorm. Shouldn't that create hail or like an ice shard effect or something? It's probably a bit beyond Gen 2 mechanics to do that, but I'm surprised they never did this in later gens. Second Dragonite, we miss icy wind on, but it goes for Hyper Beam rather than Thunder Wave, and we take it out at the second attempt. Aerodactyl goes down to Thunder before Charizard goes down to Return. The last Dragonite gets taken down with Icy Wind, and with that out of the way, we have conquered the Pokemon League and we enter the Hall of Fame. It isn't over yet though, there are still two major fights left to do in Kanto, the blue fight in the Viridian City Gym and the red fight in Mount Silver. I've got a bit of off-screen work to do to get there first though. It's not a long effort in the scheme of things, but it's barely worth talking about. The Kanto gym leaders are not a challenge. We get to blue eventually and it's a long fight. Pidgeot goes down to Return. I didn't fancy Thunder to hit it for whatever reason. Alakazam goes down to Return as well before the Rhydon is next, and I hit an Icy Wind which it narrowly survives. It throws up Sandstorm and I go to finish it with Feint Attack, but he switches out into Gyarados. I hit it twice with Feint Attack, hoping to bait it into using Rain Dance, but it only misses Hyper Beam, so I have to finish it off with Return. The Rhydon comes back out and gets finished off with Feint Attack. Executor, out next, survives Return and lands a Leech Seed before he heals it with a full Restore. I do take it out with two Feint Attacks before his Arcanine comes out last, and in this instance the cat does beat the dog as I duly end it with Return. Now, the final fight is red, and I do have a strange bit of confidence here. A lot of the efforts we have in other runs versus red, they're often doomed to fail because we get charmed by Pikachu. I think we will outspeed and one-hit his Rodent first, so that will make the rest of the fight easier. Would you believe how well this fight went on the first attempt? We one-hit Pikachu with a crit Return. I don't think the crit was necessary there, but I'm glad I didn't have to find out. Espeon is a one-hit with Return before the Snorlax comes out next. Espeon knows Reflect, so it can also be annoying. Snorlax survives Return at just above half health and then goes for Amnesia, but the second Return does take it out. Venusaur is next and I hit it with an Icy Wind before it goes for Sunny Day, but before it can fire a Solar Beam at me, I do finish it with Return. Charizard is a 2-hit with Return. I dare not go for Thunder with the Sun Up because that'll wreck its accuracy, but that Sun does power up the Flamethrower it hits us with. Blastoise is next. I go for Return, pretty confident that it might Rain Dance to get rid of the Sun, but instead it fools me and goes for Blizzard. We do survive that move though and take it out with the second Return. Wow! That might have been the easiest red fight I've ever had in the history of Pokemon. Ooh, okay then, that was a pretty smooth run. I'd never have figured Lance would be the biggest stumbling block in it, but it was what it was. Run over. I hope you enjoyed what you saw. Join me again for another Pokemon challenge next week as I attempt to beat Pokemon Emerald with a single Magnemite, as I did say already. If you have enjoyed what you've seen, hit the like button, drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any ideas for future challenges, again, drop them in the comments section. There's links in the description to my Twitter and my Discord, where you can drop them as well if you've got any thoughts. Not too much more to add that's new by this point with me. Life goes on as always. I don't really think there's much more I can say that hasn't already been said in other videos. I guess all that really remains is to say goodbye. As always, this has been Once a Future Gamer with another Pokemon challenge. This was number 41, Pokemon Silver with a single Meowth. Take care now, have a great day, see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me, bye bye now.